evening, everyone, and let me welcome everybody to City Hall as we call the Board of Directors meeting to order for the first meeting in January 2nd, 2018. I'm glad to see all of the 8 people that are here. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the roll.
Director Hendricks, Director Richardson, Director Peck, Director Hines, Director Wright, Director Wyrick, Director Compuris, Director Fortson, Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Webb, Mayor Stodler.
Here. Let me call on Father Fred Ball from the San Damiano Ecumenical Catholic Church for our invocation, please. Father Fred, welcome.
Thank you. Let us pray. God, our Creator, in your goodness, you set us in communities that we might share our energy and our resources with one another and so strengthen our common life. As we begin this new year, we thank you for the many assets you have brought to this city. But not all of us receive equally the benefits of that wealth. We thank you for the security we enjoy in our homes and our neighborhoods, but we are too aware that some of us lie down at night in dangerous places. We thank you for the vision of our leaders in government, in businesses, in houses of worship, but some of us still remain unseen on the margins. And so as we move from this season of darkness and cold toward the warmth of springtime and ever-growing light, touch those of us who enjoy the privileges of resources and security and visibility. Open our hearts and hands that we may not grip too tightly to our riches, but share the bounty you've provided with everyone. Open our arms to those around us that we may lead them to places of safety. Open our eyes that we might truly see our neighbor and come to appreciate the beauty of each one who bears your image. Bless this meeting now, we pray, and pour out your wisdom on all our leaders. Guide our mayor, our vice mayor, our city manager, and our directors, that they may serve all your people with all their hearts as we commit ourselves to support them and work together with them throughout this year. We make our prayer trusting in your faithfulness. Amen.
Amen. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as we get into the agenda, Mr. City Manager Bruce, would you explain the M1 resolution? Or maybe Mr. Carpenter?
Mayor Stodler and members of the board, it has been widely publicized that there has been an opioid epidemic in the United States that has come from essentially companies encouraging the recommendation that people take certain addictive medications that are opioids in nature. As a result of that, there have been several class actions that have been filed around the country. One has been filed that impacts this area, and they've had their first multi-district litigation hearing on that in St. Louis. The Arkansas Municipal League is representing the various cities in the state. They're working with a group of lawyers, not only locally, but also I think they're in Louisiana, who have had some experience in this and helped put together the type of information that's needed to pursue it. As a benefit of being a part of the Municipal League Defense Fund, they will represent the city of Little Rock. They need a formal document that basically says that, and that's what this resolution does. It allows them to sit on the multi-district litigation committee on our behalf, keep us informed of what's going on, and deal with what's happening with the settlement or conclusion of the lawsuit.
Is there a motion to go ahead and add this to the agenda? Second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. The resolution will be added to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
The consent agenda consists of a resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Mark McClurdy Ford Lincoln in amount not to exceed $105,792 for the purchase of 6 new Ford Fusion sedans for the Little Rock Police Department and for other purposes. A resolution to recognize the opioid epidemic in the United States of America and in Arkansas and to engage in litigation as a member of the Municipal Legal Defense Program against those entities and people responsible for the societal crisis and for other purposes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The consent agenda is adopted. We can now move on to that portion of our meeting for citizen communication. And I do not have any cards from any citizens at this time. So we can go ahead and move to our separate item, which is an ordinance. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the ordinance.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to enter into, to issue a sole source purchase order to Tactical Electronics in an amount not to exceed $44,904 for the purchase of 1 bomb EOD hand entry instruction course for use by the Little Rock Fire Department Bomb Squad and other Arkansas bomb technicians and for other purposes. First reading.
Suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to issue a sole source purchase order to Tactical Electronics in an amount not to exceed $44,904 for the purchase of 1 bomb EOD hand entry instruction course for use by the Little Rock Fire Department Bomb Squad in Arkansas and other Arkansas bomb technicians. Second reading.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to issue a sole source purchase order to Tactical Electronics in an amount not to exceed $44,904 for the purchase of 1 bomb EOD hand entry instruction course for use by the Little Rock Fire Department Bomb Squad and other Arkansas bomb technicians. Third and final reading.
I have a question from Director Hendricks.
Yes, I want to know, is this something that has come before us before? Tom?
Director Hendricks, what has come before us before is the ability to use certain grant funds to purchase equipment for our bomb squad that's shared with other local bomb squads, and this is a continuation of that.
Okay, but my concern, it says to declare it impractical and
There's only
unfeasible
basically one place we can
for
get
the city
this.
manager. So is this something that's being taken away from Bruce?
No, the board has to make a finding in a sole source ordinance that it's impractical and unfeasible to bid. In this instance, there's really only one place we can get this equipment to make sure that it works with the equipment we already have. So we're only buying it from this one company, and it's Tactical Electronics, and that's why it has to be an ordinance instead of a resolution.
Thank you, Tom. I saw a lot of frowns, but nobody had the nerve. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Director Wyrick, you're recognized, please.
Well, my question was kind of along that same line. Didn't we purchase a device several weeks ago that we were sharing with other municipalities?
Sure. Let me ask Nathan Spicer with our Emergency Management Division to come up. Nathan.
Police.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board. The piece of equipment we purchased last week was for the hazmat teams. We use 3 separate grants within the city. We have a hazardous material grant, we have a bomb squad grant, and we have a SWAT team grant. This is a portion of the bomb squad grant that we're asking for approval for and this is a training course that they come in and teach the Little Rock Fire Department Bomb Squad and other bomb technicians throughout the state. And I brought J.T. Coleman with the FBI if you'd like to have further information on the course and what it entails. He's the overall coordinator of the bomb squads within the state of Arkansas, and the FBI certifies our bomb technicians as well.
So what did we buy before?
We bought a hazmat ID was the piece of equipment that we bought
Okay.
a couple
Okay.
weeks ago.
I remember
So-
I asked what it was. Okay. And so this goes along with that. This is the training for that.
Well, this is kind of separate. This is a separate grant, but what it is, it's training for our bomb technicians in this portion of the
So it has
purchase.
nothing to do with the piece of equipment?
Not
that we-
really. I would
Okay.
say not. So.
Okay. That's what I was confused about from the last purchase that we made in this. So I'm good. Thank you.
Who teaches the instruction course?
If I would, I'd like to let JT come up here and kind of go over that.
Okay, very good.
Hey, good evening. J.T. Coleman, Special Agent Bomb Technician for Little Rock Field Office, FBI. As Nathan said, I work with the 6 state and local bomb squads located throughout Arkansas. Part of that job is to identify training and training sources for the bomb technicians. The bomb techs do everything they can as remotely as possible. So the robots that you guys have probably approved purchase in the past for the bomb squad, if we can do everything we need to do to a particular device via robot, we'll do so. It's safer for us. If we have to put the bomb suit on, that provides some safety. But if we have more than a pound of explosive in that device, the bomb suit's not going to do a whole lot for us if we're in close proximity. This particular course teaches bomb technicians how to manually enter a device, no bomb suit, dressed as I am, in order to render that device safe. So if it detonates, they have zero protection. And the only time they would do such an act is if they couldn't move people away from the device or the device away from people. Say we had a collar bomb. You guys remember the collar bomb that occurred back in 2003 on the pizza delivery guy? It was attached to his neck with a locking mechanism, ended up killing that individual. We had one in 2011 in Australia where an 18-year-old female was abducted and a collar bomb put around her neck, and an extortion attempt was made to get money from her father, and they tell him how to get the bomb off her neck. It would be a situation like that where we had to go in and actually keep this individual calm and figure out how to get into that device without setting it off. That's a very tricky situation. I brought one, actually, that the guys have trained on. This would go around someone's neck. It has a watch on it that could be set either to count down or count up to a particular time. I could set an alarm on this, a particular time on the alarm to cause it to go off. Inside it is a photo cell, so if they open this up in the light, it would set it off. And it also has a pull loop switch in it, so if they are able to get past the photo cell and open it and not contend with that pull loop, it will set it off. So this course teaches them how to properly read x-rays on a device that may be strapped around an individual's neck. We've gone to UAMS and put devices on cadavers and had them x-ray those devices to learn how to read those x-rays through an individual and still look at the device. So this training course actually comes in and improves their capability to do a manual entry or hand entry in order to render safe a device with zero protection on themselves in order to keep it safe.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
why would they not have protection on themselves?
Because the manual dexterity you need in order to get into a device like this is very demanding, and in a 104-pound bomb suit, it'd be very difficult to do so.
Good, well, thank you for the education.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Appreciate you letting me have some time.
I don't think I would fit in there.
All right, we've had the 3 readings of the ordinance. Is there all in favor of the passage of the ordinance indicate by saying aye? Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ordinance is passed. We can now, the only thing we have remaining, did you have anything you wanted to ask, Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's actually a question for the city manager, and there was an article in the paper this morning about the work that the fire department and the police department did over the cold weather in the last few days. And, you know, I saw a really good article on TV on Sunday, but then there have been some things that have been sort of negative, and I think it would be helpful I know it would be helpful for me and maybe helpful for folks who are watching to get our perspective on the activities that we were engaged in over the last few days with the cold weather and the folks who were unsheltered.
Thank you, Vice Mayor and members of the board. We did convene our emergency operations group, or part of it, in the middle of the week to begin preparation for the potential cold weather that was coming, and it did come and still here. We opened, as we've done in the past, 3 warming centers, one in East Little Rock, one at Dunbar, and one at West Central Community Center. Our experience in the past, when we've done this, we don't get a lot of participants. One of the reasons is the shelters that are in our city usually do away with their requirement that they have to leave, so they allow people to stay at the facilities. Also, Jericho Way was open last week. So we had a total of 5 individuals throughout the 3 days to participate or to visit one of those 3 locations. So we're going to keep them open during the week. They're open today, and this week I think it's going to get in the 40s toward the end of the week. But some of the other things we did was we went out and purchased 300 hand warmers and foot warmers. We took those to the shelters that needed them. We also provided, and our staff was instructed, both LRPD, the Little Rock Fire Department, and code staff, that authorized them to take any individuals who wanted to go to a shelter to transport them. Our neighborhood resource coordinators that work out of housing, they were going by the warming centers. And again, anybody that wanted to go to a shelter, we couldn't force them, but we were definitely trying to provide those opportunities. And again, we also worked very closely with the shelters to see what their needs were. For instance, at Jericho Way, there was one thought that we're going to encourage people to bring coats and other supplies, but they reported they had everything they needed at that point. So we also checked with other shelters and tried to assist as needed. So I do believe we had a comprehensive effort. We reassessed it on Friday last week to see where we were as far as participants. But again, I think supporting the current shelters and also providing transportation, and then purchasing the equipment or the safety equipment as far as hand warmers and feet warmers, I think was a prudent course.
Thank you. I really appreciate that update.
Director Richardson, you're recognized, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Moore, one quick question on it. I think a couple of weeks ago we talked about services at Jericho Way, and I think I made reference to the fact that most of the homeless folks, there's a concentration over in the center part of our city. Are we providing any kind of transportation for those who are concentrated in the center part of our city? It seems like there's a greater concentration here than it is out in the area where Jericho Way is located.
We are. The vans were running throughout the week. Also to the various shelters, but yeah, we do provide that transportation from the central core.
And certainly maybe through the police department or code, do we have a sense or an assessment where we have the greatest concentration of these homeless camps in our city?
Well, to be honest, they're throughout the city. I saw one right up off the interstate today in sort of the midtown part of our city.
Sure.
But again, our homeless advocate goes out to the camps and encourages those individuals to go into a shelter or go to Jericho Way so they can get multiple services that are provided.
And Chris Porter, is he our homeless advocate, and he's
Correct.
the person that's pretty much responsible for that?
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Director Adcock, you're recognized, please.
Bruce, I don't know if you mentioned waiving the $6 fee.
Correct. There are some of the shelters that one shelter's after 4 days, one shelter's after 7 days. So the first 4 days or 7 days are free, and then there's a payment, and again, it depends on what shelter, but they all agreed to waive that during this cold period.
Director Peck, you're recognized, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And so, Bruce, did you say only 5 people went to the warming centers?
Correct.
Wow, that's really shocking. But I also appreciate the effort. One thing that I would like, I know that I saw a couple of other directors share on their city director pages the press release, and whenever Lamar makes something like this available to us, if we could put it in a PDF file or something that would be easier to share through social media, because I think that's a really effective way of reaching people.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Okay, the next item is there a motion to go into executive session for the appointments? There's a motion and a second. Oh, before we vote on that, Director Hendricks.
The meeting that we're going to, is this something new, or is it,
No,
were they deferred or something, these appointments?
we're going to try and finish some appointments tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I won't be here, I'm going home.
All in favor of going into executive session indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, we are back in session, having returned from executive session for the purpose of appointments. On the Little Rock Planning Commission, I would like to appoint Diana Thomas and Marlon Haynes. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. They are approved. And on the Airport Commission, I'd like to appoint Mark Camp. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. He is approved. And with the, let's see here. And finally, for the, well,
Are you serious?
Central Arkansas Library System,
Oh, but they
I'd like to reappoint Annette Harrington and Sheila Wright. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Very good. Before we adjourn, the clerk's office was nice to hand out to us our statement of financial means that needs to be filled out by the 31st of January. You've got a copy of your old one in there, as well as the as well as the one for 2017. And I'm sure she'll remind us to make sure they all get in. All right, Director Richardson, you're recognized.
Yes, Bruce or Tom, today I think we got a copy of a FOI regarding compensation for you, the mayor, board members, and I think Laura is conference attendance or workshops paid for by the city? Would that be considered compensation? That's not included. All right, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other business, Mr. Moore, anything? All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Or an adjournment. Thank you.